Stop translating in your head. Think in English for real fluency, B1, B2 listening practice. You know the feeling. Someone asks you a simple question in English and your brain immediately starts running a race. First, you hear the words, then you translate them into Portuguese. Then you build an answer in Portuguese. Then you try to translate that answer back into English, and finally you speak. By the time the words come out, the moment is gone. The conversation feels heavy, slow, and awkward, and you walk away thinking, why can't I speak faster? Why does English feel so unnatural for me? The truth is, it's not your vocabulary holding you back. It's not your grammar either. It's the translation habit. Translating in your head creates a wall between you and real communication. It's like driving a car with the handbrake on. No matter how hard you press the gas pedal, you'll never move smoothly. The car drags, the engine struggles, and that's exactly what happens when you translate. Your brain works too hard, too slow, and your English comes out robotic. Think about how you speak your native language. Do you pause to translate every sentence? Of course not. You just talk. The words flow directly from your thoughts because there is no filter, no delay, no extra step. That is the state you need to reach in English. But to get there, you have to let go of translation. You have to train your brain to connect English not to Portuguese, but directly to ideas, to images, to emotions, to the world around you. Most learners never hear this truth. Schools teach grammar rules, vocabulary lists, and reading exercises. They never explain that the real barrier is inside your head. And once you see it, it changes everything. Translating is like trying to watch a movie with a slow internet connection. The image freezes, the sound lags, the story breaks. You get frustrated, you lose interest, and you can't enjoy the moment. But when you think in English, it's like switching to high-speed internet. Suddenly the picture is clear, the sound is sharp, and the story flows. That's the difference. This introduction is about awareness. The first step to fluency is understanding that translation is not helping you, it's blocking you. Every time you translate, you confirm to your brain that English is foreign, something outside of you. But when you practice thinking in English, even with simple phrases, you start building a new path in your mind, a direct connection. English becomes not just words you study, but a language you live. So as we begin this journey, I want you to imagine breaking chains. Chains of translation that have kept your English locked inside rules and fear. With each minute of practice today, you will feel those chains loosen. You will see that fluency is not about perfection, not about speed, not about having a giant vocabulary. It is about flow. And flow only happens when you stop translating and start thinking in English. Every learner thinks translation is harmless. You listen, you translate, you answer. It feels safe, logical, almost natural. But what you don't realize is that every translation comes with a hidden cost. It steals your time, it drains your confidence, and it breaks the rhythm of conversation. You might not see the cost in a classroom exercise, but in real life, during a conversation, the price is obvious. While you're busy translating in your head, the moment passes, the listener grows impatient, and your fluency collapses. Let's break it down. The first cost is time. English is a living language, and real conversations move quickly. People don't wait in silence while you translate every word. By the time you've built your sentence, the conversation has already moved on. You miss your chance to contribute. You feel left out. And worse, you start to believe you're not fluent enough, when in reality, you're just trapped in the translation loop. The second cost is confidence. Each time you translate, you second-guess yourself. You compare English with Portuguese, word by word, and you see only mistakes. Maybe the word order feels strange. Maybe the sentence sounds too simple compared to your native language. So you hesitate. You doubt yourself. And in that hesitation, your confidence disappears. Instead of sounding smooth, you sound insecure. The listener doesn't hear your personality. They hear your fear. The third cost is connection. Conversation is not just about words. It's about rhythm, energy, and human presence. When you translate, your speech becomes slow and mechanical. The rhythm breaks. The energy dies. The listener feels like they are talking to a robot, not to a person. And communication without connection is empty. Even if your grammar is perfect, if your rhythm is broken, the conversation feels wrong. Now imagine this happening again and again. Each conversation becomes a struggle. Each attempt makes you more nervous. Eventually you avoid speaking altogether because it feels too painful. This is the ultimate hidden cost of translation. Silence. You silence yourself because the effort is too great. And that silence becomes a habit, convincing you that fluency is impossible. But it's not impossible. It's the translation habit that's impossible to sustain. Think of it like using an old paper map when you already have GPS on your phone. Translation is the paper map. Slow, clumsy, easy to get lost. Thinking in English is the GPS. Fast, direct, efficient. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward. Yet many learners cling to the paper map, afraid to trust the GPS. They don't realize the new path is already available, waiting to be used. When you see these hidden costs clearly, you understand why translation is dangerous. It doesn't just slow you down. It poisons your confidence, your rhythm, your connection with people. And the longer you stay trapped in this cycle, the harder it becomes to break free. But once you name the problem, you can fight it. Awareness is the first step. And from this moment on, every time you catch yourself translating, I want you to remember the cost. Remember that translation is not helping you. It is hurting you. And if you truly want fluency, you must leave it behind. If translation is the trap, then images are the escape. The reason native speakers sound natural is not because they are faster, smarter, or magically fluent. It's because they don't think in words. They think in images, feelings, and concepts. The words simply come as labels for those mental pictures. When you train yourself to think in images instead of translating into your native language, you unlock the same process. You stop running from word to word and instead let your mind jump directly from thought to English. Imagine someone asks you in English, "What did you eat for breakfast?" A learner stuck in translation first hears the words, then thinks, "O que eu comi no café da manhã?" They build the answer in Portuguese. "Eu comi pão e bebi café." Then they try to translate back, "I ate bread and drank coffee." It takes too long. Now imagine answering with images. You see bread, you see a cup of coffee. The English words attach directly to those images. Bread, coffee. I ate bread and drank coffee. No Portuguese needed. The connection is immediate. This is how children learn. When a child hears the word dog, they don't translate it into another language. They see the animal in their mind. They connect sound to image. That's why their fluency grows naturally. You can use the same method no matter your age. Begin to train your brain to create images when you hear English. When someone says, "The sun is shining," don't translate into Portuguese. Picture the sun in the sky. Feel the warmth. Let the image carry the meaning. Thinking in images also solves the problem of speed. Words are slow. Images are instant. If I say car, you don't need to process a definition. You immediately see a car in your mind. If I say running, you see movement. These images trigger meaning much faster than any translation ever could. And once the meaning is clear, the words come more easily. That's why native speakers react so quickly. They're not translating, they're visualizing. Another benefit is emotion. Images carry feelings. When you imagine a rainy day, you don't just see clouds. You feel the cold, the sound of drops hitting the window. When you imagine laughter, you don't just see mouths moving. You hear joy. You sense connection. When you attach English words to these rich mental pictures, your speech becomes more expressive. You don't just say, "I was sad." You remember the image of yourself sitting alone, and the emotion makes the rhythm of your voice natural. That rhythm is what listeners respond to. You can train this skill anywhere. Look around your room. Instead of naming objects in Portuguese, name them in English while picturing them. Table, chair, phone, light, window. Don't translate, just connect the word to the image. When you walk outside, describe what you see directly in English. Tree, street, people, smile, car, bird. These micro-exercises slowly rewire your brain. With practice, English bypasses Portuguese completely. This is also powerful for memory. You will forget translations, but you rarely forget images. If you link a new word to a strong image, it stays with you. For example, learning the word bridge. Picture the Golden Gate Bridge. Imagine walking across it, then say the word bridge. Now the memory is anchored. Later, when you need the word, the image will trigger it automatically. The shift from words to images is the foundation of thinking in English. It may feel strange at first. You will catch yourself wanting to translate. But each time you choose the image instead of the word, you weaken the old habit and strengthen the new one. Over time, you'll notice something surprising. English starts to feel more natural. Sentences flow faster, conversations become smoother, and your confidence grows, not because you know every word, but because you trust the images in your mind to guide you. Thinking in images is not just a technique, it is a mindset. It's the way you start to experience English as a living language, not as a code to be translated. And once you master this, you're no longer studying English, you're living it. Transformation never comes from theory alone. It comes from practice, small and consistent, until a new habit becomes automatic. Thinking in English is no different. You don't need long study sessions or complicated grammar drills. What you need are micro-exercises, short daily practices that slowly rewire your brain. These moments don't take hours, they take seconds. But those seconds accumulate, and with time they change the way you experience English. The first micro-exercise is self-narration. From the moment you wake up, begin describing your actions in English, silently or out loud. When you brush your teeth, say to yourself, "I'm brushing my teeth." When you make coffee, whisper, "I'm making coffee." When you walk to the bus stop, think, "I'm waiting for the bus." At first, the sentences will be simple, almost childlike. That's the point. You're not building complex grammar. You're creating direct connections between action and English. Each phrase is a shortcut that bypasses translation. The second exercise is object labeling. Wherever you are, choose objects around you and name them in English. Table, window, phone, shoes, bag. Don't translate. Just see the object and attach the English word. If you want to make it stronger, add an adjective. Red bag, heavy book, hot coffee. The more you play with combinations, the deeper the connection becomes. Soon, you'll walk through your environment and English words will appear naturally, without effort. The third exercise is mini dialogues. These are short, imaginary conversations you create in your head. For example, you imagine someone asking you, "How's your day?" And you answer, "Pretty good, thanks. How about you?" Or you picture a cashier at the supermarket saying, "Do you need a bag?" And you reply, "Yes, please." These tiny exchanges may seem trivial, but they are exactly what real conversations feel like. By rehearsing them, you prepare your brain to respond without translation. Another powerful exercise is shadowing short clips. Find a video or podcast in English and repeat short sentences immediately after the speaker, matching their rhythm and intonation. Don't focus on perfect pronunciation, focus on flow. When the speaker says, "What are you doing?" you repeat instantly, "What are you doing?" When they say, "I don't know," you echo, "I don't know." This practice forces your brain to process English as sound, not as words to be translated. Over time, your mouth learns to move with English rhythm and your thoughts begin to align with it. You can also use timed reactions. Set a timer for 1 minute. During that minute, describe as many things as you can in English without stopping. I see a chair. The chair is brown. I see a book. The book is open. I see a pen. The pen is blue. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't pause to think. The goal is speed and flow, not perfection. When the timer ends, you'll be surprised at how much English you produced without translating. The last exercise is daily reflection. At the end of the day, take a few minutes to think about your day in English. Replay events in your mind and describe them simply. I went to work. I had lunch with my friend. We talked about a movie. The traffic was heavy. You're not writing an essay. You're building a habit. Each reflection creates a bridge between your experiences and the English language. What makes these exercises powerful is not their complexity but their consistency. Each one trains your brain to skip the translation step. Each one reminds you that English is not something separate from your life. It's part of your life. And the more you integrate it into daily moments, the faster you will stop translating and start thinking directly in English. Fluency doesn't happen in a classroom. It happens in the small choices you make every day. When you narrate your routine, when you label an object, when you replay a dialogue, you are planting seeds. Those seeds grow into instinct. And instinct is fluency. Fluency is not just about knowing words. It is about responding in real time, without hesitation, without stopping to translate. The problem with most learners is not a lack of knowledge, but a lack of reaction speed. They know the vocabulary, they know the grammar, but when it is time to answer, their brain freezes. Why? Because they are busy translating instead of reacting. To break this habit, you need reaction training. A way to train your brain to answer automatically, like a reflex. Think about sports. A basketball player does not stop to calculate angles before shooting. A football player does not pause to analyze every step before running. They train their reactions until movement becomes instinct. The same principle applies to English. If you train your reactions, conversation becomes instinct too. You stop building sentences like an engineer. You start responding like a human being in flow. One simple way to train reactions is with yes/no questions. Ask yourself easy questions and answer quickly without thinking too much. Do you like coffee? Answer, yes, I do. Are you tired? Answer, not really. Is it raining? Answer, no, it's sunny. These answers may look basic, but they train speed. The goal is not complexity, the goal is flow. When you practice this daily, your brain learns to stop translating and just answer. The second method is forced speed exercises. Give yourself a question and force an answer in 3 seconds or less. For example, what did you do yesterday? Don't pause, don't translate, just say, I went to work, or I watched TV, or I cooked dinner. The content doesn't matter, the speed does. Even if the sentence is simple, you are training the instinct to react, not to translate. Over time, your sentences become more complex naturally, but the flow is already there. Another technique is role-playing with short dialogues. Imagine you are at a coffee shop. The barista says, "What can I get you?" You respond immediately, "A cappuccino, please." Imagine you are meeting a friend. They ask, "How have you been?" You answer without pause, "Pretty good. And you?" The faster you react, the less your brain has time to translate. Reaction training works because it pushes you to bypass the slow process of word-for-word thinking. Shadowing can also be turned into reaction training. Instead of repeating exactly what you hear, try to answer. For example, if you hear in a podcast, "I'm really tired today," you respond immediately, "Me too," or "Why?" If you hear, "I went to the cinema last night," you answer, "What did you watch?" You are not memorizing. You are practicing the rhythm of real conversation, listening and reacting. One more powerful drill is flash response with common phrases. Write down a list of everyday prompts. How are you? What's up? Can I help you? Where are you going? Practice answering them with 2 or 3 different replies each. How are you? I'm fine. Pretty good. Not bad. By rotating answers, you train flexibility. And flexibility is the essence of fluency. The beauty of reaction training is that it kills the fear of mistakes. When you answer quickly, sometimes your grammar won't be perfect. Sometimes your word choice will be simple. But that's okay. In real life, people care more about flow and confidence than perfection. A quick "I'm not sure" sounds fluent. A slow, translated, grammatically perfect sentence sounds robotic. Fluency is rhythm, not accuracy. With consistent reaction training, you'll notice a transformation. Conversations no longer scare you. Questions no longer paralyze you. Instead, you feel lighter, faster, more natural. You might still make mistakes, but your rhythm keeps the conversation alive. That rhythm is fluency in action. One of the greatest fears English learners face is the fear of making mistakes. It feels like every error exposes weakness. Every mispronounced word feels like failure. Every grammar slip becomes proof that you are not fluent. This fear paralyzes you. It makes you translate in your head, delay your responses, and avoid conversations. But here is the truth no one tells you. Mistakes are not the enemy of fluency. They are the engine of fluency. Every mistake you make is proof that you are practicing, and every practice moves you closer to natural English. Think about how you learned your first language. As a child, you made mistakes constantly. You mixed up tenses, you invented words, you pronounced things incorrectly. And yet, nobody judged you. People encouraged you, corrected you gently, and your fluency grew with each attempt. Now imagine if you had waited to speak until your grammar was perfect. You would still be silent today. Fluency is born from risk, not from perfection. The difference between learners who improve quickly and those who stay stuck is confidence in the face of mistakes. Confident learners treat mistakes as feedback, not as failure. When they say something wrong and someone corrects them, they smile, repeat it correctly, and continue. Nervous learners stop speaking, embarrassed, and retreat into silence. The confident learner grows. The nervous learner stays the same. The deciding factor is not skill, but mindset. Here is the paradox. When you stop being afraid of mistakes, you actually make fewer of them. Why? Because you practice more. You enter more conversations, you expose yourself to more feedback, and you adjust faster. Fear creates hesitation. Confidence creates flow. And flow is what allows you to improve naturally. Mistakes also make you more human. Nobody wants to talk to a perfect machine. People connect with other people, and people are imperfect by nature. When you allow yourself to laugh at your errors, you create connection. You show vulnerability. You show courage. Often, native speakers will admire you more for trying than for being flawless. They know the effort it takes, and your willingness to keep going despite mistakes inspires respect. You can train this confidence through practice. Start by reframing errors in your mind. Instead of saying, "I made a mistake," say, "I discovered something new." Each mistake reveals a gap. Once you see the gap, you can fill it. Another technique is to intentionally practice speaking without preparation. Set a timer for 2 minutes and talk about your day in English without stopping. You will make mistakes, but that's the goal. You are teaching your brain that communication matters more than perfection. Recording yourself can also help. When you listen back, you'll hear errors. but you'll also hear progress. Over time, the number of correct sentences increases, the flow improves, and the mistakes become smaller. Instead of fearing them, you begin to see them as evidence of growth. Confidence also grows when you surround yourself with supportive environments. Speak with friends who encourage you. Join groups where everyone is learning. Share your mistakes openly and laugh about them. The more you expose yourself to these situations, the less power fear has over you. At the core of this transformation is a simple truth. Mistakes are not the end of fluency. They are the path to fluency. The more mistakes you make, the more natural your English will become. Confidence is not waiting until you are perfect. Confidence is speaking even when you are not. And when you practice this daily, you will discover something surprising. The world does not end when you make a mistake. The conversation continues. People still understand you, and you grow stronger every time. You've reached the point where the secret is no longer hidden. You now know that fluency is not about racing through grammar rules or memorizing endless vocabulary lists. Fluency is about mindset. It's about shifting the way your brain connects with English. As long as you keep translating, you will remain a visitor in the language. But the moment you claim English as part of your own thinking, you become a resident. You stop knocking at the door of fluency and finally step inside. Think about the journey we've taken. We began by exposing the trap of translation, showing how it steals time, energy, and connection. We explored the hidden costs that sabotage your fluency without you even noticing. Then we discovered the power of images, how thinking visually bypasses the slow process of word-for-word translation. From there, we built micro-exercises, simple daily habits that transform the way your brain processes English. We practiced reaction training to speed up responses, to break hesitation, to let fluency flow naturally. And we faced mistakes with courage, learning that confidence is not the absence of errors, but the willingness to continue despite them. Every step has brought you closer to a new mindset, the English mindset. Now it is time to claim it. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. The English mindset begins the moment you decide to stop translating and start living in the language. Every time you describe your actions in English, you strengthen it. Every time you answer without hesitation, you strengthen it. Every time you make a mistake and keep going, you strengthen it. Fluency is not a distant dream. It is a daily practice, and you already have everything you need to achieve it. Imagine yourself in your next conversation. Instead of freezing, you respond with ease. Instead of translating, you picture the idea and let the English flow. Instead of fearing mistakes, you speak with rhythm, with confidence, with presence. The listener doesn't hear a student struggling. They hear a person communicating, connecting, alive in the language. That is fluency. That is freedom. But here's the truth. No one can give you this mindset. No teacher, no book, no video. Only you can claim it. Only you can decide that English will no longer be a subject you study but a voice you live. And once you make that decision, the transformation begins. Slowly at first, then faster, until one day you realize you are not thinking in Portuguese anymore. You are thinking in English. The chains of translation are gone, and fluency feels natural. So this is your call to action. Claim your English mindset. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. You are ready now. The journey is not about perfection, it is about connection. The more you practice, the more you live in the language, the more you let rhythm guide you, the more fluent you will become. Every conversation is a chance. Every mistake is a lesson. Every effort is progress. English is not just something you learn, it is something you claim. And today, right here, you have the chance to claim it. Break the habit of translation. Embrace the power of images. Train your reactions. Celebrate your mistakes, and above all, believe in your ability to think in English, because once you do, fluency is no longer a dream, it is your reality.